This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. It appears as though Donald Trump has appealed the case against him with the verdict that exceeds $454 million. In a little bit, before I play this clip, or after I play this clip of Norm Eisen, who kind of lays out the timeline of what's going to take place here, I'm going to read from this PBS NewsHour article of how much interest is accruing on this verdict every single day, and it's a lot. It's more than the average income of households in the United States. But first, I want to go to a clip of Norm Eisen, who is an ethics expert and a lawyer and just a purveyor of facts and information about the legal world and the problems related to Donald Trump. He's been on the scene early on doing yeoman's work to point to the incredulity of Donald Trump, let's say. So first, let's hear from him, and then I'm going to read a little bit, 4 or 5 paragraphs from this article. Stand by.
Judgment was entered last week, and that started a 30-day timetable for the former president to appeal this very large verdict. I have analyzed Judge Engoron's rulings of fact, the evidence that he is the legal basis, and it's going to be very tough to overturn on appeal. By the time you enter in interest and the other costs, because you can't just post a bond for the amount of the disgorgement plus the prejudgment interest. He's going to have to post a bond for the interest while he takes his appeal. So that's going to push you to 110 to 120% over $500 million. Another $100 million plus is going to be required for the E. Jean Carroll appeal, most likely. But the AG will not make those aggressive moves until that 30-day period that has now started running runs out. Trump will undoubtedly, he's asked the judge for a stay, the judge refused. He'll undoubtedly go to the court of that is going to hear the appeal, the appellate division, the first department, to ask them for a stay because he needs more time to get that large sum together. And there are questions about whether he can get the cash or get a bond in that amount.
And true to Norm Eisen's expertise, he's right on the money, and that is exactly what has happened. Donald Trump and his legal team have filed their intention to appeal. I think that's the former president's lawyers filed a notice of appeal Monday. And there are multiple things at play here, many of them involving the money that he now owes. And it doesn't mean that he has to come up with the money himself. He can go to a bond company that will offer up like an IOU. Like, all right, we're good for it. We will co-sign, and we're good for it if Donald Trump welches. Which I don't know any company I would be involved with would not take that bet, because Donald Trump has proved for decades and decades and decades and decades that he doesn't like to pay his bills, legal and otherwise. But here is the headline from PBS NewsHour. Donald Trump appeals $454 million civil fraud judgment, pushing legal fight into presidential campaign. Donald Trump has appealed his $454 million New York civil fraud judgment, challenging a judge's finding that Trump lied about his wealth as he grew the real estate empire that launched him to stardom and the presidency. The former president's lawyer filed a notice of appeal Monday, asking the state's mid-level appeals court to overturn Judge Arthur Engoron's February 16th verdict in Attorney General Letitia James's lawsuit. And that's where Norm Eisen just left off, that this is what he suspected Donald Trump was going to do, and he has done it. Now, here's a paragraph about the lawyers, and then I'm going to get to the amount. They had an estimated amount, a similar amount, approximate amount on the screen there during the clip, but it's even higher than what CNN estimated. Trump's lawyers wrote in court papers that they're asking the appeals court to decide whether Engoron's committed errors of law or of fact, and whether he abused his discretion and or his jurisdiction. Now, here's the money part. If upheld, Engoron's ruling will force Trump to give up a sizable chunk of his fortune. Engoron ordered Trump to pay $355 million in penalties, but with interest, the total has grown to nearly $454 million. That total will increase by nearly $112,000 per day until he pays. Trump maintains, this apparently is the joke part of the article. Trump maintains that he is worth several billion dollars and testified last year that he had about $400 million in cash in addition to properties and other investments. James, a Democrat, told ABC News that if Trump is unable to pay, she will seek to seize some of his assets. Now, the funny thing about that is analysts and experts about real estate value have stated that Donald Trump's assets in New York that are in the position of possibly being seized by the New York Attorney General as a function of satisfying this court judgment, that they're not worth as much anymore. His name isn't worth as much anymore. There's a patina of fraud and criminality, and it's tainted the value of Donald Trump. And his real estate is directly connected to he himself. So she might be seizing a lot more real estate now because it's worth less than she would have. Anyway, obviously a developing story. We're going to have more details at the end of the day. We're going to have more details tomorrow. I very well could be talking about this tomorrow as well. And I would invite your participation in this conversation. We can do it in the comments. What do you think? Let's talk about it there. You can also call and leave me a voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, as always, I welcome your emails daily at Dollemore.com. Follow me on social media. I am at Dollemore on Twitter and Instagram and Threads and TikTok and Facebook, all of them. If you're there, don't sign up just to follow me. That's not a great choice. But if you're already there, I'm there too at Dollemore. If you want to help support my work, produce this work, click the join button below, become a channel member for as little as $1.99 a month. You can hit the super thanks button, or even better, go over to my Patreon page, check out what's going on there, patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast. I love and appreciate you. I will see you next time. Until I do, as always, be genuine. Take care of one another.